Let me ask you a question. How many times in your life have you felt like you were capable of more, but something invisible kept holding you back? You had the dream, you had the desire, maybe even the plan, but then that little voice inside whispered, if I fail, what if I'm not good enough? What if it doesn't work? And in that moment, you stopped yourself before the world even had the chance to. The truth is, it's not the outside world that stops most people. It's not the economy. It's not the lack of opportunities. It's not even the people who doubt you. What truly stops people is the prison of their own mind, the limits they set, the stories they repeat, the beliefs they cling to. And if you don't break those chains, you'll live your whole life with your potential locked inside you, never expressed, never realized. But imagine for a second what your life would look like if you became unstoppable. If nothing, no rejection, no fear, setback had the power to break you. Imagine waking up each morning knowing you are in control, knowing your mind is no longer your enemy, but your greatest weapon. Imagine attacking your goals with so much certainty and energy that people around you can't help but wonder, what's gotten into you? That's what this next 7 days is about. Not just motivation that fades by tomorrow, transformation that sticks. In the next few minutes, I'm going to give you the exact steps to rewire your mind, to build a level of focus, resilience, and drive that most people never experience in their lifetime. Because when you build an unstoppable mindset, you don't just change what you can achieve, you change who you are. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just listen casually. Don't sit back as if this is another speech. Lean in, absorb it, apply it. Because if you give me your attention and your energy for the next few minutes, promise you, you will walk away with tools and power that can change your life forever. The first thing we've got to talk about, if you want to build an unstoppable mindset in the next 7 days, is the conversation happening inside your own head. That inner dialogue, that constant stream of thoughts, that voice you hear when no one else is around, it will either be the force that builds you into something unstoppable or the silent enemy that tears you down before you even take your first step. Most people don't even realize how much control they've given to that voice. Think about it. How many times have you had an idea, a vision, something you wanted to pursue, and before you even put 1 ounce of effort into it, that little voice whispered, don't even try, you'll just embarrass yourself. Someone's already doing it better. You're not ready, you're not enough. And you believed it. You handed over your future to a voice that was never meant to run your life. Here's the truth you need to wake up to right now. Your words shape your world. What you repeatedly tell yourself becomes the filter through which you see reality. If you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, you'll find evidence for it everywhere. If you tell yourself opportunities never come your way, you won't even notice them when they're right in front of you. But if you start speaking words of power, words of conviction, words that align with the future you want, not the past you've lived, you will literally rewire your brain to see possibilities, to feel stronger, to act with certainty. Don't kid yourself into thinking it's just positive thinking. This is not about plastering fake affirmations over a broken foundation. This is about becoming conscious of the language you allow to dominate your inner world and then shifting it into language that empowers you. Because the truth is, whether you realize it or not, you are hypnotizing yourself every day with your own words. The question is, are you hypnotizing yourself into weakness or into power? I'll give you an example. Let's say you fail at something. Most people immediately go into, see, I knew I wasn't cut out for this. I always mess things up. Even try again. And that one failure suddenly becomes part of their identity because they allow their language to define them. But someone who has trained their inner dialogue says, okay, that didn't work. What did I learn? How do I grow from this? This is just a step, not a definition. Same failure, 2 completely different outcomes because of words. One person destroys themselves, the other person builds resilience. The language you choose is the difference between a spiral down and a breakthrough up. And the beautiful thing is, you're in control of it. You don't get to control every circumstance. You get to control what you say to yourself about that circumstance, and that choice determines everything. Now, here's the challenge I want you to take seriously, because this is where transformation begins. For the next 7 days, I want you to pay attention like never before to the words you use when you talk to yourself. Every time you catch yourself saying something like, I can't, I'm not ready, I'm not enough, this always happens to me. Stop, interrupt it, replace it with language that builds you. Replace, I can't, with I can and I will figure this out. Replace I'm not enough with I am growing, I am capable, am more than I was yesterday. Replace this always happens to me with this is happening for me to make me stronger. And don't just say it once like some kind of cute trick. Repeat it until your nervous system starts to believe it. Because repetition is the mother of mastery. Your brain believes whatever you tell it most often. If you've spent years telling yourself stories of limitation, it will take repetition and emotion to override that programming. But when you do, something incredible happens. Your confidence rises, your energy rises, your willingness to take action rises. And suddenly, what once felt impossible becomes inevitable. Let me tell you something powerful. Words you say in your lowest moments matter more than anything else. Anybody can speak strong when life is going their way. But the unstoppable mindset is built when you're tired, when you're disappointed, things are not working, and you still discipline yourself to speak life, not death, into your future. That's when you build the mental muscle that nothing can break. Think of the greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders. Do you think they don't hear that same negative voice? Of course they do. But the difference is they've trained themselves not to obey it. They've trained their dialogue to push them forward instead of hold them back. That's why everyone else gives up. They keep going. That's why when the average person says, it's over, they say, this is just the beginning. And here's what's even more powerful. Once you master your inner dialogue, you stop waiting for outside validation. You stop needing the world to cheer for you because you're already cheering for yourself. You stop relying on other people to believe in you because you've built the habit of believing in yourself first. That is freedom. That's when you stop playing small and start living at the level you were meant for. So ask yourself right now, what words have I been feeding my mind? If someone else spoke to me the way I speak to myself, I call them a friend or an enemy. If the answer is enemy, then it's time to fire that voice and hire a new one. Because you deserve better than being dragged down by your own thoughts. You deserve to live with a mind that pushes you forward, that lifts you, that reminds you of who you are when you forget. And if you're thinking, this sounds simple, you're right, it is simple. But simple doesn't mean easy. It takes awareness, it takes repetition, and it takes a decision. Decision that from this moment on, you will no longer allow disempowering words to run your life. That you will become the kind of person who speaks possibility, who speaks strength, who speaks life. Not just to others, but to yourself every single day. Because when you master your inner dialogue, you master the foundation of everything else. Without this, nothing sticks. With this, everything becomes possible. And when that shift happens, unstoppable version of you begins to rise. If you truly want to build an unstoppable mindset in just 7 days, then after mastering your inner dialogue, the next step is breaking the chains of limiting beliefs. I don't mean just surface level doubts. I'm talking about the deep rooted stories you've carried for years, the beliefs that have quietly dictated what you try, what you avoid, what you tolerate, and what you settle for. Because the truth is, your life right now is a reflection of the beliefs you've been willing to hold on to. Beliefs are like the operating system of your mind. They run everything in the background, whether you're aware of it or not. If you have beliefs that empower you, beliefs that say, I can grow, I can learn, I can overcome, then your actions follow that path. But if you've been carrying beliefs like, I'm not smart enough, I don't deserve success, good things don't happen for people like me, then you've been building your life on a foundation that keeps you trapped. And what's worse is that these beliefs often don't even come from you. They were planted in you. Maybe by parents, teachers, experiences from years ago. Someone said something once. You failed at something when you were too young to know better. And in that moment, you decided to believe a lie about yourself. That lie became a chain. You've been dragging it ever since. But here's the thing about beliefs. They are not facts. They are simply feelings of certainty about what something means. If you failed a test in school and decided, just not smart, that wasn't truth. It was just a meaning you gave to an event. Somebody rejects you and you decide, I'll never be loved. That wasn't truth. It was a meaning. Somebody tells you you'll never make it. You decide to accept it. Again, not truth, just a meaning. And if you created those beliefs once, you can destroy them and create new ones now. The only reason a limiting belief has power is because you've repeated it so many times that it feels real. You've stacked enough references to back it up, and now it's automatic. But the moment you interrupt it, the moment you call it out and refuse to let it define you, you begin to break the chain. Think of it like this. Your beliefs are like the walls of a cage. But the truth is, those walls aren't made of steel. They're made of paper. You've just been afraid to push against them. The second you do, they tear. What once felt like a prison suddenly becomes a story you no longer believe. Let's make this real. Think about one belief that's been holding you back. Maybe it's, I can't start a business. I don't have what it takes. Or maybe it's, never lose weight. I've tried before and I always fail. Or maybe it's, I don't deserve happiness because of my past. Whatever it is, bring it to the surface right now. Because until you face it, it owns you. Once you see it clearly, ask yourself, who gave me this belief? Where did it come from? Is it even mine? And more importantly, how is it serving me? Because if you're honest, you'll see it's not serving you at all. It's been stealing from you, stealing your courage, stealing your confidence, stealing your future. And once you realize that, you get to make a choice, keep it in life small or destroy it and step into who you were meant to be. And how do you destroy it? By challenging, by starving it of the certainty you've been feeding it. If the belief says you can't succeed, then you find evidence of every time you've figured something out, every time you've grown, every time you've overcome. If the belief says you're not enough, then you remind yourself of the people you've impacted, the struggles you've survived, the strength you've built just to be here right now. And if the belief says it's not possible for you, then you flood your mind with proof that others who are no smarter, no stronger, no more talented than you have done it, and so can you. Remember, beliefs are built by repetition and emotion. You've rehearsed your limiting beliefs for years. Now it's time to rehearse empowering ones until they feel just as real, because they are. And when you do this, everything changes. Suddenly, The things you used to avoid don't scare you anymore. The risks you used to back away from become opportunities. The failures you used to run from become lessons. And the future you once thought was impossible begins to feel inevitable. I want you to imagine for a moment what your life looks like if you no longer carry those chains. Imagine yourself walking into situations without the old weight of, I'm not ready, I can't do this. Imagine replacing it with, I was made for this. We'll figure this out. I am growing stronger every single day. Can you feel the difference in your body? That's the power of belief. It changes your posture, your energy, your decisions, your entire state. And that state drives your actions. Those actions drive your destiny. This is why so many people never break through. They're trying to take new actions while dragging old beliefs. They're trying to run with chains around their ankles. And then they wonder why they're exhausted, nothing works, why success always feels just out of reach. The answer is simple: until you break the chains of limiting beliefs, you will never access the unstoppable mindset. But the moment you do, everything accelerates. So let today be the day you stop negotiating with your limits. Let today be the day you draw the line and say, that belief dies here. Because you are not your past. You are not the stories someone else gave you, not the mistakes you've made or the fears you've carried. You are the creator of your future. And the moment you believe that, you step into a power that cannot be taken away. Because when you break the chains of limiting beliefs, you set yourself free to live the life you were always meant to live. Now, once you've begun to master the voice in your head and you've started breaking through those old beliefs that chained you down, the next step is learning how to build emotional resilience. Because let's be honest, life is not always going to cooperate with your plans. Things will happen that you didn't see coming. People will disappoint you, opportunities will fall apart, moments will come when the weight feels unbearable. And in those moments, it's not talent that carries you, it's not even motivation, it's resilience. It's the ability to take a hit and keep moving forward without losing your power. See, most people think the goal of life is to avoid pain, to avoid failure, to avoid setbacks. And because they live that way, every time life doesn't go according to plan, they crumble. They say, why me? Why does this always happen to me? Maybe I'm not cut out for this. But what if I told you the people who rise to the top aren't the ones who avoid pain? They're the ones who use it. They're the ones who look at disappointment and say, this is not the end of me. This is the fuel for me. Think about it. Every breakthrough you've ever had was preceded by a struggle. Every strength you've built was forged in a challenge. You didn't become stronger when things were easy. You became stronger when things tested you. You didn't grow in the moments of comfort. You grew when you were stretched, when you were uncomfortable. You were forced to dig deeper than you thought you could. That's what resilience is. It's not pretending things don't hurt. It's not denying that you feel pain. It's deciding that pain will not control the meaning you give it, and it will not dictate your future. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people lose their job on the same day. One person immediately collapses. They tell themselves, I'm worthless. Never find another opportunity. This is proof that I'm a failure. And within days, their energy drops, their confidence disappears, and they spiral. The other person feels the same sting, but they tell themselves, this is tough. Maybe this is the push I needed to step into something better. Maybe this is the moment I stop tolerating what I've outgrown. This is the door to a new beginning. Same event, two completely different outcomes, not because of circumstance, because of resilience. Resilience is the decision to use pain as a teacher instead of a jailer. It's training yourself to look at problems and ask, what can I learn here? How can I grow here? What's the gift in this mess? And don't misunderstand me. That doesn't mean it feels good. It doesn't mean you won't have moments of anger, frustration, or sadness. Of course you will. You're human. But resilience is about not staying there. It's about processing the pain and then standing back up with more strength than you had before. Now let's get practical. How do you build resilience? Just like a muscle, you don't get stronger by avoiding the weights. You get stronger by lifting them. Emotional resilience is built the same way. Every challenge is a weight. Every rejection is resistance. Every setback is a rep. And every time you push through instead of folding, you build another layer of toughness inside yourself. Over time, you reach a point where the very things that used to break you barely shake you anymore. What once felt unbearable becomes fuel, but it requires awareness. It requires a shift in mindset. You've got to stop asking, why me? And start asking, what for? Stop asking, why did this happen? And start asking, what is this preparing me for? Because life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. And if you adopt that belief, every struggle stops being an enemy and becomes part of your training ground. Think of the strongest people you know, the ones you admire, the ones who inspire you. Are they strong because life never tested them? No. They're strong because life tested them and they refused to break. They built resilience in the storm, and that's why they shine in the calm. And the same potential exists in you if you decide to embrace the struggle instead of run from it. Real danger is not the pain itself, it's the story you attach to it. Pain says, this hurts. Suffering says, this means my life is over, I'll never recover. One is inevitable, the other is optional. And resilience is the ability to experience the pain without buying into the suffering. It's saying, yes, this hurts. Yes, this is difficult, but it will not define me. It will refine me. And let's be honest, If you want to build an unstoppable mindset, you need resilience more than anything else. Because on this path of growth, you're going to fail. You're going to get rejected. You're going to fall short. And if you don't have resilience, those moments will knock you out. But if you do, those same moments will launch you higher than you ever imagined. I'll tell you something else. Resilience creates freedom. When you know you can handle whatever life throws at you, you stop living in fear, you stop hesitating, you stop waiting for perfect conditions because you realize no matter what happens, you will find a way, you'll adapt, you'll recover, you'll push forward. And that kind of certainty makes you unstoppable. So let me ask you, what's the struggle you're facing right now? Where is life testing you? Is it in your finances, your relationships, your health, your career? Whatever it is, take a moment and flip the script. Instead of saying, this is breaking me, ask, how is this building me? Instead of saying, this is too much, ask, how is this preparing me to handle more? Because if you look for the strength in the struggle, you'll find it. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Once felt like the end will start to feel like the beginning. What once felt like punishment will start to feel like preparation. And the storms that used to terrify you will become the winds that carry you higher. Because resilience isn't built in the easy times. It's built in the fire. It's built when life knocks you down and you decide to get back up. It's built when things fall apart and you choose to rise anyway. And when you master that, you train yourself to use everything as fuel. There is nothing that can stop you. So far, we've talked about mastering your inner dialogue and breaking free from the beliefs that once held you back. We've built the muscle of resilience to stand strong in the storms of life. But none of that matters if you don't take action consistently. And that's where discipline comes in. Because let's face it, motivation is not enough. Motivation is great to get you started, but it's discipline that keeps you going when the feeling is gone. Motivation fades, discipline remains. And if you want to be unstoppable, you've got to train yourself to live by discipline, not mood. Think about it. How many times have you felt inspired, fired up, ready to make a change, only to watch that fire burn out after a day or two? How many times have you promised yourself, this time I'm going to do it? And then as soon as the feeling disappeared, you went right back to old patterns. That's not because you're weak. It's because you were depending on motivation instead of discipline. Motivation is like the spark. It ignites the fire. But discipline is the wood that keeps it burning long after the spark is gone. Without it, the fire dies. Discipline is the ability to keep the promises you make to yourself long after the excitement of making them has faded. It's waking up early when your bed feels like heaven. It's choosing the healthy meal when the junk food is calling your name. It's putting in the work on your dream when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one is checking on you. Discipline is doing the thing you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that's where true power is born. And here's the truth. Every time you act on discipline, you strengthen your identity. Every time you follow through, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. And every time you break your own promise, you weaken your belief in yourself. That's why discipline is not just about habits. It's about identity. It's not just about what you do. It's about who you become. When you say, I'm disciplined, and you live it, you start to see yourself differently. And when you see yourself differently, your standards rise. Now let's talk about standards, because discipline and standards are inseparable. If your standard is, I work out when I feel like it, then you'll work out occasionally when conditions are perfect. If your standard is, I move my body every day no matter what, then you'll find a way. Standard is, I show up for my dreams when it's convenient. You'll only show up a few times a year. But if your standard is, I show up every single day no matter how I feel, you'll create momentum that cannot be stopped. That momentum compounds. What starts as small actions becomes massive results. But let me be clear, discipline isn't about being rigid or robotic. It's not about living without joy or flexibility. It's about being intentional. It's about deciding who you want to be and creating habits and rituals that align with that person. Because if you don't build discipline, your life will be ruled by impulse. And impulse never builds greatness. Impulse gives you what feels good in the moment, but robs you of the life you want long term. Discipline delays gratification, but it gives you the power to create a future that excites you instead of one that drains you. So how do you build relentless discipline? Start small. Too many people try to change everything at once and they burn out. Discipline is like a muscle. You build it one rep at a time. If you're out of shape, you don't go into the gym and try to lift the heaviest weight on day one. You start where you are and you grow stronger. Same with discipline. Start by keeping one small promise to yourself every single day. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's reading for 10 minutes. Maybe it's putting your phone away at a certain hour. Whatever it is, commit to it and follow through no matter what. Once that becomes automatic, stack another and then another. Over time, you build a chain of habits so strong, nothing can break it. But here's the key, never negotiate with yourself. The second you start negotiating, you lose. The second you say, maybe I'll skip today, maybe I'll do it tomorrow, you open the door for excuses, and excuses are the enemy of discipline. Don't give your mind that option. Make your commitments non-negotiable. Treat them like breathing. You don't say, maybe I'll breathe today. No, You just do it. That's how discipline has to become. And yes, there will be days you don't feel like it. There will be days you're tired, days you're frustrated, days you want to quit. That's normal. Here's the secret. Those are the most important days, because every time you push through on those days, you send a message to yourself that says, I'm stronger than my feelings. I'm stronger than my excuses, in control. And that message compounds into unshakable confidence. People often ask, what's the difference between those who achieve extraordinary success and those who don't? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's discipline. The top performers, the leaders, the innovators, they don't rely on inspiration to show up. They've trained themselves to show up regardless. They've built habits and rituals that make progress automatic. And because of that, they succeed where others quit. Think about if you only act when you feel like it, how consistent will you ever be? But if you act whether you feel like it or not, how powerful will your life become? That's the shift. That's what makes you unstoppable. So I want you to think right now, what's one area of your life where you've been waiting for motivation when what you really need is discipline? Where have you been telling yourself, I'll do it when I feel ready, instead of, I'll do it because I said I would. Decide today that you're done waiting. Decide today that your feelings no longer get to dictate your future. Because the life you want won't be built on convenience. It will be built on consistency. And the beautiful thing about discipline is that once you master it in one area, it bleeds into every area. The discipline you build in your health affects your business. The discipline you build in your business affects your relationships. It's all connected. Discipline creates order, focus, and energy across your entire life. Stop waiting for the perfect moment because it doesn't exist. Stop waiting for motivation because it's unreliable. Instead, train yourself to live by discipline. Make your habits stronger than your moods. Make your commitments stronger than your excuses. And when you do, you'll discover a level of power inside yourself that you didn't even know existed. Because when you develop relentless discipline, you no longer wonder if you'll reach your goals, you guarantee it. Now, after you've built discipline, there's something just as important that most people completely overlook. It's the difference between running in circles and creating unstoppable momentum. That's the power of focus and energy. Because the truth is, no matter how driven you are, no matter how big your dreams, if your focus is scattered and your energy is drained, you'll never move forward the way you want. Most people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because their attention is everywhere and their energy is nowhere. Think about it. We live in a world full of distractions. Your phone buzzes every few seconds, notifications never stop, opinions are thrown at you from every direction, and the noise is endless. And most people are addicted to it. They spend their lives reacting instead of directing. They give their attention to things that don't matter and then wonder why they don't have the energy for the things that do. Let me tell you something. Your focus is the most valuable currency you have. Whatever you focus on grows. If you focus on problems, you'll find more problems. If you focus on fear, you'll feel more fear. If you focus on opportunities, you'll see opportunities. If you focus relentlessly on the result you want, nothing can stop you. But here's the challenge. Most people are trying to focus on too many things at once. They're spread thin, chasing 10 different goals. And because of that, they never make real progress on any of them. The key is not to do more, it's to do less, but better, it's to decide what matters most, cut out the noise, and direct your full attention and energy toward the things that move the needle in your life. You don't need to climb 100 mountains halfway. You need to pick one mountain, focus your energy, and climb it to the top. That's how you create results that actually last. And focus without energy is useless because you can know exactly what matters, but if your body and mind are exhausted, you won't follow through. This is why energy management is as important as time management. Some people say, I don't have enough time, but the truth is, you don't have a time problem, you have an energy problem. When you're drained, when you're sluggish, when you're constantly exhausted, even the smallest task feels overwhelming. But when you're energized, your body is strong and your mind is sharp, you can handle challenges that used to break you. You can work longer, think clearer, and move faster. Energy multiplies the power of focus. So how do you generate energy? You stop treating your body and mind like they're optional. You fuel yourself with the right food, the right movement, the right rest. You feed your mind with empowering thoughts instead of drowning it in negativity. You surround yourself with people who elevate you instead of people who drain you. Because energy is contagious. If you spend your time with people who complain, gossip, and settle, you'll feel heavy. But if you surround yourself with people who are driven, passionate, alive, you'll feel unstoppable. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Let me be real with you. There is no unstoppable mindset without energy. If you're running on fumes, your mind will play tricks on you, convince you to quit, to procrastinate, to settle. And it won't be because you're not capable. It will be because your energy is gone. That's why the most successful people in the world treat their energy like a sacred resource. They guard it. They renew it. They invest in it. And because of that, their focus is sharp and their execution is relentless. Another piece of this is clarity. Focus thrives on clarity. If you don't know exactly what you want, waste your energy chasing things that don't matter. You'll feel busy but not productive. And business is the enemy of focus. The question you have to ask yourself every day is simple: what matters most right now? The 2 or 3 things that, if I gave my full focus and energy to them, would create the biggest impact in my life. When you start living that way, you stop being distracted by the small stuff. You stop pouring your energy into things that don't move you forward. And that's when progress explodes. You know what else kills focus and energy? Multitasking. We've been sold the lie that doing 10 things at once makes us efficient. But the truth is, multitasking makes you mediocre at everything. Your brain is not designed to fully focus on 2 things at the same time. Every time you switch tasks, you lose momentum. And that constant switching drains your energy faster than anything else. The key is deep work. Lock in. Shut off the distractions. Give one thing your full attention until it's done. That's how you tap into flow, that state where time disappears and you produce more in an hour than most people do in a day. Let me tell you something powerful. Where focus goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, results show. If you want a better body, focus your attention and energy on consistent movement and nutrition. If you want a thriving business, focus your attention and energy on the actions that drive growth, not on endless busy work. If you want extraordinary relationships, focus your attention and energy on being present, on giving love, on growing together. Instead of scrolling through your phone while someone you love is sitting right next to you, your life will always reflect what you consistently focus on. So ask yourself right now, where has your focus been? Has it been on your fears or your future? Problems or solutions, on distractions or direction? And where has your energy been going? Has it been drained by things that don't serve you or invested in things that move you closer to the life you want? Because the answers to those 2 questions will tell you exactly why your life looks the way it does right now. The good news is you can shift it instantly. You can choose today to cut out distractions that waste your energy. You can choose today to feed your body, your mind, and your spirit with things that give you strength instead of weakness. You can choose today to focus on what truly matters and pour your energy into that like your life depends on it, because it does. Here's the beauty. When you combine focus and energy, you become a force of nature. Distractions lose their grip on you. Challenges don't slow you down. You start to move with momentum, with clarity, with power. People will look at you and wonder how you get so much done, how you stay so driven, how you keep going. The answer is simple. You've learned to harness the 2 things most people waste every single day. Because when you harness the power of focus and energy, you stop being scattered and start being unstoppable. We've talked about shaping your inner dialogue, taking control of your emotions, building resilience, developing discipline, harnessing focus and energy. But there's one final piece, and it's the piece that ties everything together. Because without it, all the strategies, all the mindset shifts, all the clarity in the world will mean nothing. That final piece is action. Decisive, relentless action. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when conditions are perfect. Action right now. Because the truth is, knowledge without action is wasted potential. You can read every book, attend every seminar, listen to every piece of advice, but if you don't step up and move, nothing changes. The reason so many people stay stuck is not because they don't know what to do. It's because they don't do what they know. They wait for the fear to disappear before they act, not realizing that fear only leaves once you move. They wait for more confidence, not realizing that confidence is built by acting in spite of doubt. They wait for permission, not realizing no one is going to hand it to them. You become unstoppable when you decide to stop waiting and start creating. Every single breakthrough in your life will come from a decision followed by action. Sometimes the action doesn't even have to be perfect. In fact, it rarely is. The key is movement, because movement creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence, and confidence creates new possibilities. But when you stay stuck in your head, you analyze, overthink, and wait, you kill momentum before it has the chance to grow. The fastest way to rewire your identity is to take bold action that matches the person you want to become. Identity is not something you're born with. It's something you shape. If you see yourself as shy, you'll act shy. If you see yourself as undisciplined, you'll act undisciplined. If you see yourself as someone who always struggles, you'll unconsciously find ways to prove yourself right. The moment you decide to act differently, you begin to shift the story of who you are. Action is what forges identity. When you act with courage, you begin to see yourself as courageous. When you act with discipline, you begin to see yourself as disciplined. When you act with power, you begin to see yourself as powerful. Identity is not built in your mind, it's built in your actions. And here's the beauty. The person you've always wanted to be is not waiting somewhere far away. That person is built moment by moment, choice by choice, action by action. Every time you do the thing you've been avoiding, you prove to yourself you're no longer the old version of you. Every time you act boldly, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of more. And the more you do it, the less you have to try, because it becomes who you are. Let me warn you, there's a trap that most people fall into. They dip their toe in, they take small action, but they never fully commit. They tell themselves they'll try, but trying is the language of hesitation. Bold action is not about trying. It's about drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is who I am now. This is how I show up. This is the standard I live by. Because if you don't raise your standard, your life will never rise. If you don't take massive action to match that new standard, you'll slip back into old patterns every time. Think about the moments in your life that changed everything. It wasn't the moment you thought about changing. It wasn't the moment you talked about it. It was the moment you finally acted. The moment you picked up the phone, started the project, walked into the room, made the decision. That's the moment your life began to shift. Yet so many people are still waiting for that moment instead of creating it. They wait for someone to come save them, not realizing no one is coming. You are the one who has to save yourself. Now, here's the real power of bold action. It doesn't just change your circumstances, it rewires your brain. When you do the thing you've been afraid of, when you push yourself beyond what's comfortable, brain learns that you're stronger than you thought. Fear loses its grip. Doubt loses its weight. Suddenly, things that once seemed impossible become normal. That's the compounding effect of action. Each bold step you take raises your identity. The higher your identity, the bigger the actions you take. It becomes a cycle of growth that never stops. The world rewards action. Opportunities don't fall into the laps of those who sit and wait. They come to those who move, those who step up, who create momentum. People respect action. The marketplace rewards action. Even life itself seems to open doors when you take bold steps forward. And yet, so many people never get to experience this because they keep convincing themselves they're not ready. Let me tell you something, you're never going to feel ready. You're going to feel uncertain, nervous, maybe even terrified. That's normal, but courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move anyway. The shift happens when you stop identifying with your limitations and start identifying with your possibilities. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. Are not your doubts. You are who you decide to be, and the only way to decide is through action. When you begin to live as if you're already that stronger, bolder, more powerful version of yourself, your brain adapts, your body adapts, your results adapt. And before long, what once felt impossible feels natural because you've become the kind of person who does it. So here's the question you have to ask yourself right now. What bold action have you been avoiding? Decision have you been putting off? What step have you known deep down that you need to take? But fear, doubt, or comfort has been holding you back because the truth is your life won't change in theory. It won't change in planning. It won't change in talking. It will only change when you take that step. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. And I promise you this, once you take that first bold action, the second becomes easier. The third becomes natural. And soon you look back and realize you've become someone you didn't even think was possible. Not because you waited for permission, but because you gave yourself permission. Not because the fear disappeared, but because you decided to move anyway. Not because the old you magically vanished, but because you killed the old you with every new action you took. Because when you step into bold action and reinvent your identity, you stop waiting for life to change and you start creating the life you were meant to live.